Zara Smith, and on September 2011, my family and I set off on our big world trip. We took off from Vancouver, flew across North America, over the Atlantic Ocean to Croatia in Europe. It took the whole night. I stayed in Dubrovnik, a city with 800-year-old walls that have protected the city through many wars. I got to dance a traditional dance, and I even got to join in a sword fight. One time I had a parrot on my head. We also jumped off the rocks into the sea. The beaches were rocky, not sandy, and the water was really warm. We visited lots of islands, including the one where the explorer Marco Polo was born. There are also some beautiful lakes and waterfalls. People were jumping off the tops of the waterfalls into the lake below. Next, we flew to Istanbul, Turkey, which is half in Europe and half in Asia. One of the most famous mosques in the world is called the Blue Mosque because of its beautiful blue tiles inside. The markets had some delicious things like Turkish delights and apple tea, my favorite. We also went to Cappadocia, where there are tall rock pinnacles that people actually lived in 2,000 years ago. We stayed in a cave hotel and went on an amazing hot air balloon ride. Then we headed to the Blue Lagoon for some beach time, paragliding, and some mud. After Turkey, we flew to Jordan, in the middle of a desert. We went to see Petra, one of the wonders of the world. They carved buildings right out of the rocks. Then we swam in the Dead Sea, where nothing can live because there's so much salt. But the salt made it really easy for us to float. After that, we camped in the desert. We made a fort in the rocks behind our tents. Then we climbed up a sand dune. It was hard work climbing up, but really fun coming down. We all got to ride camels. I called my camel Caramel. From there, we flew to Egypt, which is North Africa. We got really close to the pyramids, another wonder of the world. They were built 5,000 years ago as tombs for the kings. I got lots of attention because of my blonde hair. We took a cruise up the Nile River and visited some temples. We tried to figure out what the pictures on the walls meant. In the Valley of the Kings, we went to the tombs King Tut and Ramesses the Great. We saw their mummies, which was pretty creepy, and also King Tut's treasure. After Egypt, we went to the Serengeti Game Reserve in Tanzania. Our Land Rover's roof popped up, and we poked our heads out of it and saw lots of animals. We saw hugging zebras, long-necked giraffes, these little troublemakers, and a gazillion wildebeest. I really wanted to pet this lion. We got a little too close to this elephant and he charged us. At the sanctuary, I was the only one crazy enough to kiss a giraffe. We also visited a Maasai school. The whole school was in one room. We played with the kids during the recess, and they sang us a lovely song. Next stop was Cape Town, South Africa, where my mom grew up. We hiked all the way to the top of Table Mountain, another wonder of the world. I met a whole bunch of my mom's friends and got to hang out with their kids. We played in the waves on some beautiful beaches, blew seaweed trumpets, and met some penguins. We crawled through caves, dove with crocodiles, and I got to ride an ostrich. We also visited a township where very poor people live, and Nelson Mandela's prison cell. He lived there for almost 30 years before he became the first black president of South Africa. We flew all the way across the Indian Ocean to Australia. Australia has really white sandy beaches, and one place we went to only allowed bikes. Here I am on Bondi Beach. I went to my first opera at the famous Sydney Opera House. We hiked and camped in the Blue Mountains and learned about the Aboriginal people. Check out where Sienna and I slept. I saw kangaroos in the wild and fed some pretty greedy ones in the nature park, but my favorite were the cuddly koala bears. After Australia, we hopped over to the French islands of New Caledonia. It was just like being in France, but with palm trees, croissants and all. We stayed on a friend's boat and sailed around different islands. My favorite spot on the boat was the trampoline at the front. That's where we played most of our superhero games with our little buddy Seb. The beaches were wonderful and the water was crystal clear. We went snorkeling, kayaking, and caught a big fish. Then we had another overnight flight across the Pacific Ocean. We had finally made it all the way around the world. We stopped in San Francisco just long enough to see the Golden Gate Bridge and catch up with some old friends. We were on our way from North America to South America, to Lima, Peru, where my great aunt and uncle live. We spent 3 weeks at Celas, a kids center in a poor part of Lima. We taught them Frisbee, about Canada and our trip, did a big dance, and made some great friends. In Lake Titicaca, we met families that live on floating islands. Then in Cusco, we saw a bunch of Inca ruins, a llama, and gigantic rocks stacked like Lego. My parents hiked the Inca Trail and met us at Machu Picchu, our last wonder of the world. I had my 8th birthday there. In the Amazon jungle, I kayaked right up to a caiman, saw macaws, and a huge tarantula. The trees were massive, and the mud was so squishy, I lost my boot. But the best part was, a butterfly landed on my finger.
This is Zara walking with a butterfly on her finger.
I've always been dreaming of having a butterfly land on me, and I guess my dream came true. Then we went to the Galapagos Islands, off the coast of Ecuador. It's right on the equator. The animals there are super tame because they don't have any predators. I got really close to the marine iguanas baking in the sun. This bird is called the blue-footed booby. My dad thought that was super funny. My parents even snorkeled with sharks and sea turtles. We biked around the island and saw giant tortoises. But I liked the sea lions most of all. They chilled by our hotel pool and slept on park benches. They were super fun.
Oh, they're right over here. Oh my goodness.
Now I know why they're doing this. I know why they're doing this. Oh, that guy has a sore eye.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Look at them. After all this traveling, we needed a vacation. We went to Costa Rica for the last bit of the trip. We hung out in some surf towns and learned how to surf. It was really hard catching a wave, but it felt great when I did. Boogie boarding was much easier. The water was so warm, it was like a salty bath. We played in the waves and collected beautiful shells on the beach. We also had a lot of fun taking our last Flat Stanley picture.